Hey, so today we're going to be reading Mark chapter 15, and this is where Jesus gets crucified and dies, and the next chapter is when he gets raised from the dead. So this is the best chapter in the Mark. So very early in the morning, the chief priests and elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin made their plans. So they hound Jesus and led him away and handed him over to Pilate. "Are you the king of the Jews?" he asked Pilate. You have said so," Jesus replied. The chief priests accused him of many things, so again Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things they are accusing you of." But Jesus still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. Now it was a custom at the festival to release the prisoner whom the people requested, a man called Barabbas, who was a prisoner with the rebels who had committed murder. And in the uprising, the crowd came up and asked Pilate to do what he usually did. "Do you want me to release you, the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate, knowing it was out of self-interest that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to get Pilate to ask Barabbas instead. "What shall I do with the one they call the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked them. "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why, what crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they all shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released to them Barabbas. He had Jesus flogged and handed over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the place that is Praetorium, I don't think I said that right, and called together the whole company of soldiers, and they put on him a purple robe, and then twisted together a crown of thorns, and set it on him, and they began to call out, "Hail, the King of the Jews." Again they struck him on the head with a staff and spat on him. Falling on their knees, they paid homage to him, and when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put his own clothes on him, and they led him out to crucify him. A certain man named Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country, and they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. There they offered him wine and myrrh, but he did not take it, and they crucified him, dividing up his clothes, and they cast lots to see what each would get. It was 9 in the morning when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." They crucified him with 2 rebels, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "So, you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down from the cross and save yourself." In the same way, the chief priests and teachers of the law mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. Yet this Messiah, King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see and believe." Those crucified with him also heaped insults on him. At noon, darkness came over the whole land until about 3 in the afternoon, and in a loud voice Jesus cried out, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Then some of those standing near heard this. They said, "Listen, he is calling on Elijah." Someone and a sponge with wine and vinegar, put it on a staff, offered it to Jesus to drink. "Not even my own, yet see if Elijah comes to take him down," he said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last breath. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus saw he died, he said, "Truly this man was the Son of God." Some women were watching from a distance, among them Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James the younger brother, and of Joseph, and Salome. In Galilee, these women had followed him and cared for his needs. Many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem were also there. It was preparation day, that is, the day before the Sabbath. As the evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent member of the council who was himself waiting for the kingdom of God, went boldly to Pilate and asked him for Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised to hear that he was already dead. Summoning the centurion, he asked him if Jesus had already died. When he learned from the centurion that it was so, he gave the body to Joseph. Joseph bought some linen cloth and took the body down, wrapped it in the linen and placed it in a tomb cut out of rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where he was laid. Thank you for watching, and tomorrow we're on the final chapter of Mark, and then we're starting Luke, and then after Luke we're on Acts, because we've already done John. But thank you for watching, and bye.